Welcome to Pitch Your Product at Tradefairs. Getting ready for a trade show requires a lot of planning and preparation, and when you're preparing for the spring fairs in the middle of your busiest trading quarter, it can be quite a challenge. I'm Ami Rabheru, an ex-retail buyer turned product strategist and retail business mentor, and I specialise in teaching productpreneurs the action steps to approach, pitch and sell into retailers. I am thrilled to be bringing you this two-part series in collaboration with Top Drawer, Harrogate Home and Gift, the Manchester Furniture Show and Retail Reveal. Through this two-part series, I aim to empower you with the knowledge you need to help set you up for trade show success. Part 1, that's this, is all about preparing for the trade show, and I focus on 3 P's. That's people, plan, promote. So let's get going with the first P, people. People in a business refer to you, your colleagues, your staff, your supply chain, and most importantly, your customer. In this section, I'm going to focus on the retail buyer, essentially your customer, but not your end user. I really wanted to start off by setting the scene a little and take you through a retail buyer's journey before we dive into all the other aspects of preparing for a trade show, because this bit will help you to understand a trade show from a retail buyer's perspective. I'm starting here because, just like B2C selling, if you understand your customer and you take the time to understand what drives them, then you'll be in a much better place to serve them. So understanding what retail buyers are looking for, what motivates them and how they go about navigating a trade show is the first step to set you up for trade show success. So why do they attend trade shows? Buyers attend trade shows primarily to keep up with industry trends, network, source new products from new and existing suppliers, and just generally keep up with the industry. What are they looking for is usually a question that I get asked a lot. They're usually on the lookout for great products that they don't currently stock, but also products which may replace their best sellers, their current best sellers, in the future when those sales start to see a decline. So they are likely to be thinking ahead as well. What about their purchasing time frame? Something that is always on the tips of everyone's tongue, the question that everyone wants to know the answer to. Now, a trade show for retail buyers is likely to be the start of a new buying season, but they could also be on the lookout for gaps that they might need to fill in the current season as well. So if you have availability or you can get a particular product in really quickly, be prepared for that and have that up your sleeve. Products. When they are sourcing products, they will likely to be looking for something that will excite their ideal customers and that are different from what they've already stock. So for you to attract exactly the right retailers for your brand and products, ensure that your offer, your stand, your messaging, your graphics, your packaging and everything in between appeal to that specific end user, that's your consumer, that you intended your products for. That way, you're more likely to attract the right buyers of retailers who have similar customer profiles to the ones that attract your brand and products. Thinking about their agenda at trade shows, with so much to see and absorb at a show, buyers are often pushed for time with tight agendas, and some buyers will probably arrive to a trade show with a pre-planned agenda with appointments to see their existing suppliers first, and then they will have built time in to whiz round the rest of the show to source new products and meet new potential suppliers. Others will take a more casual approach and walk the show first before they commit to having any kind of lengthy conversations, and then they'll go back to those brands that they want to see and find out more about. Purchasing at the show, another question that comes up a lot. Some will come with a shopping list and will have the intention to place orders at the show. You'll find that mainly the independent retailers will do this. In most cases, they are the sole decision maker, so they can. Others, mainly the medium to bigger retailers, will show interest, have conversations, ask for samples, arrange meetings, but they are likely to have a much longer buying process. So get ready for the long ride if you're looking to be stocked by some of the bigger retailers. The art and science bit, last but not least. Buyers are creative when it comes to product sourcing and building product strategies, but they're also very commercial people. So along with the art of sourcing products and looking for new opportunities, also comes the science bit, and they will be looking for products ultimately that generate profit and revenue for the company. So ensure that you have the commercial elements nailed and that your proposition can show how the retailers can grow their sales, grow their margins, and grow their market share. Plan. The goal of exhibiting at a trade show is to meet as many qualified prospects as possible. So the first thing to do is set your goals. After all, you don't want your investment to turn into a major expense which may or may not pay off later. It's not a chance you want to take because you just haven't set aside a time to plan. If you have previously done a trade show, the best place to start is to evaluate your performance at the previous trade show. You can do this by doing a simple SWOT analysis, and the key things you really want to ask yourself is from the previous show that you did: what worked, what didn't work, what were your strengths and weaknesses against your competitors or similar brands in the same space, and note down any kind of consistent feedback that you may have received from prospects, as that could be really valuable to shape your offer for the next show. The next step really is to look back at some of your metrics and to evaluate the quality of the leads. How many leads did you get from the last show? How many of them converted into customers? What was the outlay of your stall? And how long did that investment take to pay off? These are just some of the key metrics that you should be looking at to help you set your goals for the next show. Don't underestimate the value of just taking some time out and capturing your lessons learned as a starting point. It could really set you up. If you're new to trade shows and this is your first time, doing a competitor analysis, doing a bit of a research will be your best friend here. Gaining a deep understanding of the market in which you want to position your brand in and develop a clear understanding of what good looks like in the space will help you to clearly understand what differentiates you from everyone else. And you can use that information to help you stand out and attract the right retailers and have the right conversations at the show. Your goals will very much depend on the size of your business, where you are in your brand journey, and how long you have been exhibiting at the show even. So if you are a trade show veteran, you might want to bring awareness to a new product launch. That might be one of your goals, for example, to your existing customer base, whilst also attracting new customers. Or you might have bigger goals, like you want to enter a new market or a new space, or an opportunity to influence the press or pitch for some sort of investment. And if you're new to trade shows, then this will be your opportunity to test your products in a commercial setting. You can't get better than this, and really bring awareness to your brand. So use this as an opportunity to speak to buyers, gain valuable feedback, and of course gather prospects and even make sales to those independent retail buyers who are ready to buy at the show and achieve your return on investment for the show. There will never be any right or wrong goals. At the end of the day, the delivery of your goals will very much depend on what you do and what happens at the show and who turns up, right? But having some sort of plan will set you up for the next step, which is to set your budget for the show and spend your money wisely on the things which will help you to achieve the goals that you have set yourself. What a marketing budget looks like for, every business for trade show will be different for every size of business. But what I will say is that first impressions really do matter. So do spend money on making your stand look great and appeal to the sort of retailers that you are targeting as a brand. Which nicely leads me on to the marketing piece. This is not an extensive list, but just some of the things that I've picked up on, mainly for the newbies. So number one, graphics. Graphics and imagery are something that newbies tend to overlook because they feel that actually the product will do most of the talking. But just like in B2C marketing, imagery and marketing messages are a really important part of telling your story effectively and connecting with people. So if you have some great imagery that you've used in your retail product business, and if they are relevant for the trade show, use them. It draws people in, adds depth, particularly to smaller stands, and gives buyers more things to look at and engage with. Imagery on digital, slideshow works even better if you wanted to take it up a level. So if you can do that, then do it, because it's really engaging, especially if you're experiencing a busy period, for example, and visitors might be waiting to speak to you. It gives them something to stand there and look at whilst they're waiting for you. Essentially, it keeps them there. Lighting is another one that is often overlooked in the quest for a great exhibition stand, but effective lighting can make or break the stand. And actually, when you think about lighting and how it's used in retailers, it shouldn't be too dissimilar. Use lighting to make your stand inviting, highlight product placements and specific displays that you want to draw attention to, and use it to set the overall mood intentionally, to create those kind of emotions and experiences with your brand. Design and layout is another one that I wanted to talk about, and the same goes for the design and layout really. It should be memorable, inviting and open without any obstacles. If you have a small stand, mock it up at home or in your office and photograph everything that you have. So you've created a bit of a blueprint almost for your team members to follow. It will save you faffing around when you get to the hall to set up. Sampling and promotional giveaways. If you are going to do this, then make sure that they are relevant to your brand and products. Sometimes there's never really enough time for buyers to read all of the literature or for you to go through every single piece of, everything. Actually, it's a really good strategy that you might want to just give them something so that they can experience your brand when they get home or back to the office. It makes it memorable for them. Flyers for the show. So top tip here really is to make sure that your flyers for the show have your stand number, as most buyers, as we talked, will probably walk the show first and then go back to the brands that they want to have a lengthier conversation with. So it's well worth getting your stall number printed or stickered onto your flyers if they're already printed, because if you have if they are on your radar to come back and speak to, you will want them to find you easily without too much difficulty. And the same goes for sales materials. I have to mention, be responsible, print what you think you need. Another great tip is that you could also put your QR code or a downloadable link on your flyers, which gives buyers access to a digital version of your catalogue and line sheets. It's eco-friendly, saves the buyer walking around with bags full of catalogues and brochures, and it saves their shoulders. And finally, another top tip is do your research. Get out there, get out into the high street, get out into the shops, and just go and do some research. If you don't know where to start on some of this, start with research. It really is the best place to get inspiration. And I'd say number one is research the type of retailers that you are targeting with your products, so that you can preempt what might be attractive to them, what their gaps might be, what their opportunities could be. And this will help give you direction on what your marketing for the show could look like. And you can have some real meaningful conversations as well. Number two, this one's key, know your competition. Again, it's not to copy, never copy, but it's to stay ahead of them. Promote is our third and final P for this session. This is a huge subject, but 3 things I really wanted to highlight here about pre-show marketing and what you can do to really set yourself up for success. Tip 1, email in. So send in invites out in advance. Invites should be sent to both existing B2B customers and potential new ones who you might like to reach out to. So what do I mean by this? If you have specific retailers that you would really love to be stocked in, then this should form part of your trade show goals and strategy. Get intentional and start reaching out in advance of the show, as you don't really want to rely on the off chance that they might just wander onto your stand and find you. It's a much better approach and strategy when you introduce your brand to them in advance of the show, rather than hoping that they will just ponder across and find you and discover you. It will mean that the buyers will have you on their radar to visit and will immediately have a connection with your brand when they meet you. These visitors that you have intentionally invited will be extra valuable as well, because they're people who have accepted your invitation and already have an interest in your brand. They may have started following you on social media or visited your website, so they're more likely to result in a conversion because they are likely to be highly qualified leads. Tip 2, get digital. Make sure that you're using social media to promote your presence at the event. Traditionally, brands will reach out on platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter when it comes to B2B marketing, absolutely fine. But I think that platforms like Instagram are very underutilized for B2B selling, mainly because I think that the brands feel that A, it might not really be their job to do any kind of promotion for the event, and B, I think they feel that those kind of channels are only a great place for B2C marketing and not B2B. I do think that you should use the noise that the organisers are creating around the event to promote your presence and drive more awareness to your brand. More and more, actually. A lot of B2B brand discovery amongst both independents and big retailers is happening on social media channels like Instagram. So use this as an opportunity to promote presence at the show. Another thing that you could do to continue that customer journey is to set up a dedicated trade show page on your website, or a landing page if you don't want to add it onto your consumer website, so that you have some place for your potential B2B visitors to start engaging with your brand and getting excited about the prospect of visiting you at the show. It goes without saying that you can also use this space to start gathering contacts and information about your prospects too. Tip 3 is around advertising. Use your presence at the show as an opportunity to reach out to industry publications and magazines as well. You could do this by buying some advertising space or sending out an interesting press release around, potentially a new product launch, or if you have a particularly interesting brand story that might get published that might be of interest to the trade magazines. And don't forget the show directories, or any chance to get involved in any additional promotional activities that the organisers might be laying on for you. Always a great opportunity, as it's targeted to their specific mailing list, and visitors get this in advance of the show, and buyers will use this information to map out their time and their schedules at the show. So it's well worth ensuring that you can jump on the back of anything that they are offering as part of your strategy. That brings part 1 of this session to a close. I look forward to connecting with you. You can find me on socials at The Retail Business Hub and on LinkedIn at Ami Rabheru. This is a 2-part series, and in part 2 we talk about 3 more P's, and that's product, pitch and process. Whilst you go and find that, you can download my free guide, Pitch Your Product. It's all about how to approach, pitch and sell your products to retailers. You can find it on my website at retailbusinesshub.com, pitch-your-product.